Thank you for joining me yet again. My name is Lauren Heistad, author to the book Homecoming. Today we're reading chapter 49 in book 3, Mastering Your SOULworks. And I was just thinking about that particular book. I had published it, or I actually said I was going to publish it on April 12th, 2022. I actually just pushed it through a few days earlier than that, on the 8th. I guess that's the difference between logical mind and soul mind, isn't it? When I think I have a time that I want to bring my work forward, and then all of a sudden it's earlier than I think it's going to be. So I adjust. I get used to the understanding that I'm doing something sooner than I had perhaps hoped, and then I just keep going. So that's what happened with that book, Mastering Your SOULworks, and we're actually just diving in. So I've already read the first chapter in that book, but we're moving into the second one. And now that it's amalgamated in my trilogy book, that's chapter 49. And it's called Crossroads. Okay. Oh, you know what? I haven't said this for quite a while, so I thought I would reiterate it again too. I'm not doing takes on this. This is a one-time take on anything within this book because I have other things I want to be doing in my life now. At this point, it's almost just like push through, so that I can turn my own page. So, you're dealing with all my blunders, my my mistakes. That's just what you get to deal with. Okay? Okay. No, I'm not done yet. Interesting, hey? I'm also to remind you that I haven't read my book in years. I mean, I read it when I put it together, bits and pieces of it, of course, I will never forget, but I actually don't ever know what's coming when I'm reading these. I'm just working my way through them, called to read them on the day I'm called to read them, and just learning how to surrender to my process as I fulfill a promise to myself, my higher self, and mastering your SOULworks. I don't know, I think it might be a promise to the world. A promise to the world. To tell my story. Tell my story, speak my truth, help bring understandings to the surface, and close the biblical era. And we're at Crossroads. Okay? Okay. Anything else gonna go on? I think I can go on. Here we go. At one point over the last few years, I came to an interesting crossroads. And although the blatant pun is intended, it was still most certainly a cross I did bear. After writing my second book, Evolving Your SOULworks, which honestly felt like the weight of the world had been lifted from my shoulders, I found new ways to put extra stress and pressure on myself. I did. It was at that crossroads, while releasing my story to the world, that I had to learn how to face and overcome a new obstacle: rejection. My support group friends, fans, and other acquaintances that had come together during some of the toughest times in my life began to disband. Some for personal reasons, for sure. Some for their own unrest in the messages I was conveying. Some because they wanted the story for themselves. Which is okay, I understand. Although, fun fact, I don't even want this story for myself, so I always found that interesting. And still others, because they saw themselves in larger roles or understandings than I had brought forward to share. To me, this change was pretty heartbreaking. It was. Of course, I've always said I don't require anyone to believe in me. But in truth, I'm still very human. Very human. And the rejection was certainly a hard reality to swallow. Yep. Now, the actual cover to my second book was another trigger point I had not originally anticipated. Do you remember it? Big old, oh, the light's kind of glaring, but big old cross standing in the South Saskatchewan River. Okay. So the actual cover was another trigger point I had not originally anticipated. The religious communities gravitated. They gravitated towards the image of the cross and then quickly backed away when the title came into view. The New Age communities beamed with interest as the title Evolving Your Soul Works came to the forefront, but swiftly backed away as the image of the cross came into focus. Unwilling to put the word evolving and a cross in the same line of context. Fair. I had friends and family asking me to change the focus of my story. Others asking that I not speak of that occurrence again. Occurrences, there were many. And still some who thanked me for the information but used it to confirm their own perceived importance or knowing that they came here to teach or save the world. In the spring of 2017, I had even launched videos. I did. Discussing the contents of my book. I placed thousands of dollars on an advertising campaign. Not a big one, just one I could afford, right? Press releases were actually distributed via a reputable channel to media groups throughout North America through my original book publishing agency. And I had clearly made a solid commitment to speak my truth and come out of hiding. What followed the entire campaign was dead silence. Dead silence from a world that craves its Messiah and yet unwilling to hear one. Dead silence from a world that is looking for answers and yet afraid to see them. Dead silence from a world that demands change, yet unwilling to embrace the truth needed to bring those changes into being. What I experienced during that time of personal proclamation was not one follow-through on the ads, not one bite from social media, not even an online jab, making fun of my bizarre claims. Just deafening silence. As a very open, energetic being, however, the sound waves were not silent. No, just whispered. I heard them just the same. Judgments flew in from every angle, 24/7. Opinions came bounding through like bullets in the night. Truth. Different perspectives emerged as the people in my world scrambled to find their own truths and understandings to my reality. My reality. And with that response clearly afoot, I went back into my shell for both safety and reprieve. I purposely closed myself off. I did. Excommunicated myself from the world and just went silent. Not silent from my own truth, however. Just silent from a world that was not ready to listen. Instead, I spent time working on my next level of teachings, mastering your soul works, finding a new balance with other aspects of my personal life, and preparing myself and my family for what was yet to come. Most importantly, I took the time to become a key player on my own team. You see, for years, I had slowly started to understand that I bounced back and forth between several perspectives and opinions. Primarily, the importance of what the Bible held versus its lack of authority, the importance of my life's role versus minimizing or equalizing its significance to all others, the standpoint of the prophesied times we were living within as simple evolution versus the opinion of it being an opportunity we could not afford to miss. And the list went on and on as I bounced back and forth between my own perceptions, the historical perceptions, and the collective conscious. Wait, sorry, I said that wrong. Good thing I just explained to you. Okay, wait. And the list went on and on as I bounced back and forth between my own perceptions, the historical perspectives of the collective conscious, and the rise in the New Age movement. How could I be frustrated with a world that remained silent and unsure on how to perceive the magnitude of my story when even I was unsure on how I felt about the topics at hand or how to proceed? There are days when I still don't completely know, but I am getting closer. I have learned that my perspectives on my life's events are important. Of course they are. And I strive to find balance in that truth. I do believe the original, unedited, authentic words of a few key prophets featured within the Bible are similar to my own. Words that are being guided from above and yet utilizing personal experiences to convey the important messages regarding the divine truth of all things. Regardless of how these original texts later became compiled within the Bible and interpreted, I do believe in a few of the basic core teachings within those visionary words. I didn't come here to fight against those. I came here to concur with some of the original texts and explain them. After years of contemplation and life experiences, I have become a firm believer that beyond the dogma of traditional biblical texts, way beyond, lie key understandings in the power of love. I know I embody this soul potential on a regular basis, although adamantly I do have my moments. I can help others attain this harmonized state of being through awareness. I am also very aware that people do not need to believe in me or anyone else to achieve their own soul potential. Of course not. But they do most certainly need to match the frequency of my words. Believe in a higher source potential for this world, and trust in their own ability to exemplify the changes needed to surpass the current reality. For those not quite there yet, I provide a guiding light, absent of judgment and void of intervention, beyond one's own free will to embody change. In other words, I'm not here to save or do the individual soul works for anyone beyond my own soul development. Instead, I am here to speak out against original teachings and interpretations while strongly encouraging the world to see and believe in our individual and collective soul potential. Deep in my heart, very deep in my heart, I know my role is important, regardless of how many times I have tried to minimize or give it away. In fact, it is for that reason alone I have come, to share what I know and have been given the divine authority to deliver. The world needs a messenger. Regardless of the opposition or rejection I might and may have encountered. Thankfully, and despite the backlash, my heart holds steady within the bigger picture of our collective potential, providing the full faith and courage needed to accept my life and officially cross the road. And then I include a little poem that I wrote. It goes like this. The peace in my heart knows no bounds. It comforts beyond measure. The comfort in my heart knows no pain. It strengthens beyond resolve. The strength in my heart knows no limits. It motivates beyond logic. The motivation in my heart knows no difference. It loves beyond reason. The love in my heart knows no sorrow. It heals beyond all time. The healer in my heart knows no darkness. It expands beyond the shadow. The expansiveness in my heart knows no fear. It rises to the call. And so, I rise. again. Mastering your soul works. A lot of people within the New Age movement profess to stand in their power. As I have slowly but surely learned how to believe in myself, I can honestly say I am finally doing just that. Standing in my power. So far. The power, however, is me. The how is with faith. The when is when I finally loved myself enough to just be at peace with who I am. The where is by refocusing my attention away from our current physical reality to the divine, loving energy held within. And the what is an adept teacher of the spiritual arts, intuitive healer, visionary, bringer of truth, self-proclaimed messenger of change, conscious co-creator, and a divinely appointed, prophecy-fulfilling woman in motion. Oh yes, I am. I am. And more importantly, I have finally learned how to love, accept, and stand in all of me. Standing in my power does not require the approval of others. Thankfully. My soul does not need to be heard or seen, nor do I require people to believe in or follow me. My inner and outer changes are not dependent on recognition, acceptance from others, higher authority, communication lessons, fashion consultation, vision boards, or professional advice and coaching. Coaching's when I cry on the couch to get my own clarity. My changes are in progress because I am learning how to love who I am. Despite the rejections experienced from others. What standing in my power has mandated beyond logic is learning how to love how I showed up in this world. The experiences I have endured. And more importantly, learning how to stop rejecting myself. Fact. Now, this life-defining moment generated a huge crossroads in my life, which I appear to be standing in again. It required a leap of faith to redirect my path in the direction of my own soul works, despite what others were thinking or saying. Sometimes we take leaps of faith with little to no hesitation. Other times it takes many years of preparation to make that knowing leap into the unknown. And it's definitely the unknown. Even for someone like me, who can see future events before they unfold, there are always moments of true surrender. The moments when you know your soul is calling you to speak your truth. Believe in yourself, step into your power, and move your own soul works forward. These life-defining choice points can be on any number of topics, such as a new career, new relationship, new home, or new pursuits. The commonality is that it will most certainly take your life in a monumental new direction, and that the future outcome is actually unknown. Yet the fear of moving ahead into the unknown and down that rabbit hole of faith becomes way less scary than the fear of staying where you currently are. That is the crossroads. The road that crosses from the direction your life is currently on to the new road of self-discovery and adventure your soul is urging you to trust and surrender to, no matter how scary it may seem at the time. Within this individual and collective crossroads comes a very large leap of faith. Faith in yourself, for knowing deep within your soul that you have the capacity to fulfill your own unique destiny. Faith in the divine order of all things to support your life calling and catch you as you free fall into the unknown. And truthfully, faith in the bigger picture. As you release the power you inadvertently bestowed upon others to define your own unique path and soul works, daring instead to define, discover, and bravely stand on your own. I am. Your move. Detach from the collective. There has always been and will always be a lot of noise coming from the collective, whether it is verbalized out loud or not. Thoughts and intentions carry weight, and it is imperative to be able to distinguish your own from the peanut gallery. Take the time to remove external voices from your inner world. This can come in the form of loved ones who are worried about you. It can come from family members or co-workers who have strong opinions pertaining to your own path and well-being. It can even come from the outer world as fears rise and people scramble to hold on to outdated beliefs and understandings. The energy of fear, worry, or concern does not need to be in your energy field vying for your attention. It doesn't. Instead, strive to clear it out of your mind just like you would the cookies on your internet browser. In fact, a few times a day, take the time to unplug from the collective purely by thought and intention, to bring yourself back home to you. By doing so, you are recognizing and believing in the beautiful light force held within. I'll be right back. Sorry, that wasn't a pep talk that time. Often when I pause, it's a pep talk from my guides to keep going. This time it was a little argument in the background because this morning I woke up and I'm like, I don't think I actually have to finish reading my book. I seem to do that every time I get to the end of another of my books found within the book, right? And I had done the same. I was like, oh, I actually liked the ending to And So I Rise. Maybe I should just leave it there. And I was arguing on whether I was going to keep going, and I find this crossroads very funny because obviously I decided to cross the road and finish this off once and for all. I hate when my own messages stare me in the face. Okay, whatever. Moving on. We're in your move, not my move, because I apparently just crossed the road. And it's your move, and we're on point 2 within that segment, and it's called Face Rejection. Rejection boils down to the refusal to accept someone else's truth. Technically, rejection is a waste of time because No one will ever know. No one will ever know your own innate truth but you. Be at peace with that. Be at peace with that. The only person who really needs to accept you is you. Listen to your own inner voice. There's currently so much noise getting through on all internal and external communication waves. That is nothing more than just pure static. Static. Take the time to truly listen to your own inner voice and remember that your soul is quite capable of navigating you through this point in time. In fact, your soul has navigated your life path moment by moment, day by day, and year by year, up to and including this very point in time. That's pretty amazing, isn't it? Regardless of global opinions, your soul is quite capable of managing and holding your own. Please remember that. Apparently, I need to remember that as well as I cross this proverbial road. Okay. Stand in your power. May you learn to find peace, love, and acceptance of your own truth. May you learn that standing in your power does not mean being seen or heard by anyone but yourself. May you understand that standing in your power does not mean deciding you are the great I am without learning how to embody that loving perspective. If only, hey? No, it's simply embodying all of who you are and striving to be the best version of yourself you can be. Shining your own light, which, by the way, casts shadows on no one, and learning to see and accept that same beauty in all others, even before they do. It is about standing back and letting people find their own way. It is about being there to pick people up when needed, but doing so because you care. Not because someone might notice how powerful you are. That is what love would do. And that is what it means to stand in your power. Become a key player on your own team. Determine for yourself what team you will play on, because it's certainly time to decide. Either you can let the world define who you are and run with the pack of past perceptions of our collective reality, or you can individually define who you are by standing strong within your own unique soul signature, vibrant and very much intact. Don't judge a book by its cover. Don't do it. Learn how to move past your own fears, understandings, or ego mind, and let your own soul navigate the way. Over the years, I have watched so many people be energetically drawn to my books or any other aspect of change for that matter, yet stop dead in their tracks and back away based on nothing more than their own insecurities and unwillingness to see beyond their individual perceptions. Instincts are imperative in this world. They are, but only when they are working in unison with your higher self. And that's a very important distinction. When in alignment with judgments or fears, instincts can and most certainly do steer you in the opposite direction, back into your safety net of status quo. Instead of always blindly following this innate basic survival mechanism of yourself or others, which are there to help you remain physically and emotionally safe, by the way, they are. However, be more open to new experiences and understandings. In fact, when approaching anything new in life where you are not in immediate danger for your safety, now that's the key. But when you're not in immediate danger for your safety, yet your gut instincts are kicking into overdrive, ask yourself, is this reaction coming from my higher self? Or am I just scared and not ready to look at the contents held within? You can honor the answer that comes forward. You can. It is just important to understand some gut reactions are based on the very human responses of basic fight or flight survival. Truth. Yet I really truly believe we are quite capable of moving beyond the eras of simple existence and allowing ourselves to thrive. And finally, cross the road. We stand together, both individually and collectively, at a global crossroads. These profound times call for change. They do. Change of heart. Change of understanding. Change of belief systems. Change of perspective. No matter how you look at it. No matter how you look at it, it is time to cross the road and move from our old collective story of the past into a new story, beaming with beautiful growth and soul potential. I just crossed the road. I have full faith. You have the strength, inner knowing, and ability to cross that road as well. I will see you there. We'll call it homecoming.